promoting a healthy environment. It's the air we breathe. Clean, safe water. Responsible management of our natural resources to protect and restore for a sustainable future. Environment matters.
We keep a very close eye on all of this. That's our job.
A gas drilling boom for West Virginia means a closer look at environmental regulations for the industry. Plus, saving energy means saving money. How some West Virginia counties are using a high-tech solution to ease the squeeze on their budgets. Hello everyone, and welcome to Environment Matters. I'm Kathy Cosco with the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection. Drilling for oil and gas is nothing new in West Virginia. Commercial operations in the state date back to the 1800s. But the demand for domestic energy, coupled with new technologies that allow developers to tap gas deposits trapped deep inside rock formations, has led to the rapid expansion of gas exploration and development in the state. Balancing those economic benefits while maintaining stewardship of the land, water, and air, the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection is taking a proactive approach as it works to oversee a complex industry. It's a common sight among the rolling hills of West Virginia, and increasingly, so is this. Gas exploration and development is on the rise in West Virginia, and the Marcellus Shale Formation found under much of the state is what is getting all the attention these days.
It's been known that the Marcellus contained gas in the past, and there are wells that have drilled through the Marcellus and some wells that have even produced from the Marcellus probably, but not to the magnitude that we're having now.
James Martin is chief of the Office of Oil and Gas, the section of the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection charged with overseeing the tens of thousands of oil and gas wells that dot the state. He says what's driving all this development is a combination of technologies, horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing.
Horizontal drilling has been more common in other places than it has here. It's just come into really to West Virginia in the last few years on any kind of with any kind of magnitude. The conventional operations here are vertical wells. West Virginia has a long history of oil and gas development, but it's been of the vertical well nature. Going back to the late 1800s, oil and gas wells have been drilled here, and over the last several decades, some of those operations included hydraulic fracturing. But they didn't include horizontal drilling, most likely, except for in the last few years.
Here's a simplified look at how the process works. A rig drills down below the deepest layer of underground water, the aquifer. The sides of the well bore are sealed with steel casing and cement to isolate the well from the groundwater. The drilling is then continued down thousands of feet, where a special type of drilling equipment curves the well bore horizontally into the shale formation. After that's filled with casing and perforated, a mixture of sand, water, and chemicals, fracking fluid, is pumped in at high pressure, causing fractures in the shale formation, allowing the gas a pathway to escape. It's a different process that requires a different framework of regulation.
These operations are just much different, and so as we started looking at that, we spent several months looking at what some of the concerns were. We actually came out with a guidance document and basically focusing on water use.
That led to new regulations on things like water withdrawals from the streams and the disposal of wastewater from the fracking process. The West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection began addressing concerns over horizontal drilling and fracking as early as 2008. In August of 2011, Governor Earl Ray Tomblin issued an executive order establishing new rules on water use, site design and engineering, and erosion and sediment control. In a special session that December, the legislature expanded those rules and substantially increased permitting fees. Seeing that the work is done correctly and in an environmentally correct manner is the job of DEP oil and gas inspectors, and that work starts before even a shovel of dirt is turned over.
The permitting stage, we need to come out and review the site before it's permitted. When the construction starts, we need to come out and see that they are following the REC plan.
The REC, or Site Reclamation Plan, actually starts very early in the process.
We're trying to have a gas well location actually reclaimed, not causing any environmental problems before the drill even gets there. We require erosion sediment control be in place during the clearing of the well site as well as during the construction of the site. Another thing that we require is vegetation, either temporary or permanent, during the construction process. We try not to leave any disturbed ground during the drilling and the reclamation process.
Because of the size and complexity of the operation, the drilling rigs are often on the site for months at a time, with state inspections happening throughout the process.
The conventional wells would take maybe 5 days to a week to complete, a very small location size. Now we're spending several months on some of these pads during the drilling process. We want to absolutely be here for the freshwater casing. Then again, we definitely want to be out when they get into their curve, start into their Marcellus shell. They're running their surface freshwater casing, may be here all day, sometimes all night even.
Once the drill rig moves off and the site is producing gas, it takes on a different look. This site in Doddridge County was finished just 4 months ago.
The sites are fairly large, and because of the time it takes to construct these sites, normally the reclamation needs to be staged. The larger sites need better water control. We've got to address site drainage off the level site itself, making sure that we've got enough water control to handle any erosion problems. If we see a problem, if Mother Nature creates a problem with excessive rainfall, the main thing is if there's a problem with sediment, that we fix the controls. We may have to rebuild some of the sediment controls after a storm event, but that's what we try to address, is try to be proactive and head off sediment control problems and end up with a site it's not causing a problem.
When they're getting near finished with the reclamation, we want to be here a lot for any touch-ups we need done and to make sure it is up to our standards.
Standards that are very protective of the water and overall environment.
These sites now have liners put under this gravel, pads put down. Everything out here that contains any type of fluid has a secondary impoundment around it. And if there is a spill, it's always collected in that secondary confinement. And anything coming up out of the ground cannot touch the ground. It has to be pumped directly into tanks so it can be hauled off and disposed of properly.
And because horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing is more efficient, requiring fewer well bores, the larger site can have an overall smaller footprint.
We may have a 5-acre pad out here for this well. There may be 6 horizontal wells here, which could be equal to from 30 to 50 conventional wells, all confined to one pad with one road going to all of them, instead of 50 roads going through the farmer's field.
Ultimately, it comes down to having the right regulations in place and the resources to ensure that these sites are operating in a safe, environmentally sensitive manner, something James Martin says the state has accomplished.
The issue we had was trying to work within the current framework and apply those requirements to these kind of operations, and that was the challenge. But the new legislation, I think, gets us in a much better position to do that, and also gives us additional resources to do that, because there's one of the provisions in the legislation is a substantial increase in the permit fees, and that's going to allow us to get some more staff on board, which we really desperately need to be able to better monitor things and to better review permits and do things timely. And so we're going to be in a better position, I think, all the way around.
The DEP is looking for oil and gas inspectors, inspector specialists, and inspector supervisors. Details of these class specifications are available on the Division of Personnel's website. You can find out more by checking out our website, dep.wv.gov. Cleaning up mine sites abandoned prior to tougher environmental regulations passed in the late 1970s is the job of the DEP's Office of Abandoned Mine Lands and Reclamation. That office was honored last year by the U.S. Department of the Interior with an Appalachian Regional Award for a mining reclamation project in Tucker County. Here's the DEP's Tom Eloise with more.
The Kempton Refuse and Acid Mine Drainage Project is a 60-acre site located not far from the headwaters of the North Branch of the Potomac River near the Maryland border. It was first mined back in the 1880s and was abandoned and left in dangerous condition in the 1950s before current laws requiring the reclamation of former mine sites were enacted. The project, which was completed in 2009 at a cost of $2.3 million, involved backfilling, regrading, and planting vegetation along nearly a half-mile of exposed high wall, installing seals on 2 partially collapsed mine portals, and removing 2 surface water impoundments.
There wasn't no topsoil. Everything here was acid producing.
Yeah.
The stone, the rock was on top, the black stuff, everything. It was all gob piled and acid producing material. The sandstone's acid producing. The coal reject was acid producing. This site didn't have anything going for it.
David Brochart is the AML's regional engineer for northern West Virginia. He says the site has seen a lot of changes for the better.
It looks really great. We've done no maintenance to the site other than monitoring the water quality, which prior to construction, the pHs ran from 2.5 to 3.4, and since construction, we're running somewhere between a 6 and a 7 pH at all times.
Limestone was added to tributaries, and natural stream design techniques were used to help neutralize the water coming from the site. Acid mine drainage from the former mine portals, which also contains a high concentration of aluminum, is treated by a passive system that filters the water through a series of cells.
This was the worst AMD producing site in West Virginia on the Potomac. So we turned that completely around and made it one of the better areas of the upper Potomac.
And the Department of the Interior's Office of Surface Mining agrees, calling the Kempton project an exemplary reclamation project. In Tucker County, West Virginia, I'm Tom Alowies for Environment Matters.
The Office of Abandoned Mine Lands and Reclamation is getting more than $66 million in federal grant money this year to help eliminate health and safety hazards created by historical coal mining. A year-long study of water supplies in Boone County showed no widespread evidence of mining activity impacting groundwater quality in the study area. Triad Engineering of Scott Depot looked at homes along Hopkins Fork of the Big Coal River from Seth to Prenter. Triad visited 100 homes for interviews and sampled 33 wells. Technicians also collected samples from surface water, mine and valley fill discharges, and coal slurry. The study concluded that complaints of odors and coloration in the water are most likely related to naturally occurring bacteria that break down iron and sulfate rather than human impacts. A large part of the study area, from Seth upstream to Nelson, now has public water. 2 wells near a reclaimed surface mine site showed the greatest evidence of mine-related impact. Those wells had elevated levels of sulfate, iron, manganese, and aluminum. Neither of those wells is used as a drinking water source. The study also found 1 well that tested positive for high lead levels. The owner of that well lives in an area served by public water. None of the other 32 wells sampled in the study area exceeded the primary drinking water standards for metals. Researchers say further investigation is needed. Coming up, taking the show on the road, we'll check out DEP Day at the state capitol. Plus,
if you think about it, it's like throwing money out the window.
Old and inefficient government buildings are putting a strain on many county budgets. Ahead, how some county leaders are taking a high-tech approach to save energy and money. But first, did you know that nearly 90% of plastic water bottles are not recycled, ending up in landfills in the landscape and taking thousands of years to decompose? Instead, buy a reusable container and fill it with tap water. It's a great choice for the environment and your wallet. We're back in just a moment.